We are near the end of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. As of yesterday, the jury of 5 men and 7 women began deliberating. They did that throughout yesterday afternoon. And as we are filming this, they're back in deliberations, being sequestered from the public during this process. If you are coming into this trial, not having followed it much, understand that the prosecution's case featured 38 witnesses. We have the defense calling 7 witnesses, notably not Chauvin, as he invoked his 5th Amendment right not to testify. And so, Charles, we talked about this case earlier on in the process, but I wanted to get your updated thoughts as the jury is deliberating. What do you think about some of the developments, including the Chauvin pleading the 5th?
Well, I'm not surprised that Chauvin pled the 5th. That was kind of sort of expected. I did not necessarily know whether his attorney was going to be able to humanize him in a way that was going to make it advantageous for him to take the stand in front of the jury. If you notice, there were a few things that his attorney did try to do during summation that tried to sort of make him softer and gentler and appear to be different than the person that we've been watching on that video since last year. One of the things that people may have noticed was that during summation, that was literally the first time during the trial for any extended amount of time that the jury saw Derek Chauvin without his mask. That was the first time that they saw his entire face. And that was a very deliberate but subtle move from the defense counsel because Mr. Nelson wanted them to see him in a different capacity. They wanted to sort of look at the person who was sitting at the defense's table, and then also look at the person who was being depicted on that video and sort of see whether there was any sort of sense of recalcitrance or remorse or difference during that time. And so that's something that I noticed that was very interesting. In terms of their general approach to the case, before we spoke, well, since the last time we spoke, we had not seen the defense or heard their case or really like allowed them to get into their arguments. I wasn't impressed. I think that they went into their case with about 3 distinct areas of their argument. And their case was built on 3 different principles. The prosecution, however, at every single point did an absolutely brilliant job of taking those things away from the defense so that they didn't really have them to rely on. And the result was a closing argument that was, quite frankly, all over the place. I mean, it rambled a lot. It was almost as though they were trying to throw everything on the wall and see what stuck. But here's the thing that I think viewers need to understand. The prosecution and the defense in this case have 2 very, very distinctly different approaches and desires for outcomes. The prosecution is looking for a home run. They want a conviction. Ideally, they want a murder 2 conviction. They will be happy with a murder 3, and of course, they will settle for a manslaughter conviction. But ultimately, they want the home run of a conviction which requires a unanimous verdict from the jury. Everyone has to be on the same page. The defense wants a bunt, at best a single. The home run for them is an acquittal. They know that that is not possible. They know that that is not going to happen. So what they are aiming to do is to target 1 or 2 jurors that they can distract or get to believe enough of what it is that they're offering in order to have a hung jury. And that's the difference in terms of the approach. It's also the difference in terms of the desired outcome that's really important to understand.
Can I have a few questions as someone who's the exact opposite of an expert on this about you saying that it's impossible for them to get an acquittal. So how exactly would that work? Is it that are they going to have to consider different charges in turn with like sort of the threshold dropping, or like how would it work that in theory if they can't get the entire jury on board, why is it not possible that they might not be able to get them on board for literally any of these charges? Well, or is it just unlikely?
I think when I say impossible, I think it's highly unlikely that you're going to get 12 jurors who will be in agreement that of the 3 charges that Derek Chauvin is facing, all 12 believe that of the 3, he's not guilty of anything. So understand that in order for there to be an acquittal, there has to be a unanimous verdict there, the same way that there has to be a conviction. So you can get a holdout for an acquittal the same way you can get a holdout for a conviction. And I just find it highly improbable that you're gonna get 12 people who have sat through this entire trial who are gonna go in there and say he did nothing and yeah, we're gonna let him off. I just don't see that happening. I see a hung jury as being a far more realistic scenario than an actual outright like unanimous acquittal. I just don't see that.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.